Hello, my name is Minecraft Phenom 08, and this is episode 35 of my 1 Billion Iron Ingot challenge in Minecraft 1.16. In today's episode, I am going to make a dimension from the mod RFToolsDimensions that is basically just a bunch of iron. It's going to be made out of, hopefully, blocks of iron and molten iron rivers, so let's get started. So the first thing that I should mention is that I have actually made most of the dimlets that I will need for today's episode. However, I do need to make a fluid dimlet, and I haven't done that on camera yet. I did make a water one off camera just to make sure that I knew how everything worked. But basically, I need to make a molten iron dimlet, and let's go downstairs and see exactly what we need for that. So let's type in the molten iron, and so what we need are these things right here. I actually have the modules made up. I have the dimensional shard and the essences that I need with me. However, I do need that fluid absorber with molten iron. So let's go ahead and set that up. I do want to set this up outside, I think. So let's go ahead and snooze. That way I won't be bugged by any monsters. And so what we need to do is we need to get a fluid absorber, and apparently I don't have one of those, at least not with me. So this one is, I believe, not set yet, so yeah. So that's what we need. We need that fluid absorber, and now we need some area here. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and set down this fluid absorber. There's not any fluid in this block space, so it shouldn't be able to do anything just yet. So let's go ahead and dig this out. And actually, you know what? This is not an ideal spot for this. And actually, I might want to go ahead and make this above ground. Let's go ahead and set up the actual iron system here. So what I have to get molten iron, and basically I need to make molten iron in the world for my fluid absorber. I have a seared melter with a seared heater. So let's go ahead and just set this up. I did most of this off camera, but I do want to show exactly how this works. So we have the seared heater, and on top of that we put the seared melter, and then we just grab some blocks of iron. And it doesn't even have to, let's just grab 3 blocks of iron. I actually did this by hopper, but you can throw in 3 blocks of iron. And what we have is a fluid placer. And I have this fluid placer basically placing into the world, and let's go ahead and get rid of this mob loot. And basically I would have the fluid absorber right here, is how this is going to work, and I need to get rid of that and then replace this. So basically I'm going to be dropping molten iron in there through this fluid placer. Let's set this to be always on, I think is the best way to do this. And then we need to hook this up to ultimate mechanical pipe from this seared melter. And actually I have all of the iron that I need in this simple black hole tank. So let's go ahead and see if we can't plumb this up. I actually set this up too close. I didn't mean to do that. So let's set this up right here. And so what we can do is we can pipe out the fresh iron that I'm getting into the simple black hole tank, and then we can pipe that into the fluid placer using my configurator here. So let's go ahead and tell this to extract, and let's tell this to extract as well. So as we can see and hear, the fluid absorber is working as well as the fluid placer. It does sound like the fluid placer is placing the iron rather quickly, because it does require 256 buckets for this fluid absorber to hit 100%, and it's moving at a pretty good pace. So that's pretty cool. Actually, all of the iron is probably in here, but that's okay. And there we go. So this is ready to go, and that is full of iron. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to leave that be. It's not in anyone's way. It's not hurting anyone, so whatever. So let's run down here and let's make this last dimlet that I should need. So it is once again molten iron. So let's go ahead and we can just double click this and everything will go where it needs to go. I already have the empty fluid dimlet. I have the memory module, the energy module, the fluid absorber, and all of these ingredients as well. So let's just hit the create, and there we go. Now, to actually make the dimension that I want to make today, I do need to throw in an empty dimensional tab. And if we go ahead and place these in here, it's going to say error. It says dingling blocks. Blocks should come before either a terrain or a feature. So I do have a terrain dimlet, and I was able to make this between episodes. Before I did not have the lost knowledge that I needed, but as you can see, I have a lot of lost knowledge in my knowledge holder. As well as my researchers are backed up. But yeah, I have pretty much, I would guess most of the knowledge unlocked. I don't have a whole lot of the rare or the legendary knowledge, but it does seem like the legendary knowledge all seems to be the same, which is kind of odd to me, at least what I've unlocked. But the rare knowledge, there is some more of that I probably have yet to unlock. But yeah, anyways, I was able to make a flat dimlet right here, and that should ensure that my world is flat. I also have some other dimlets here, so let's go ahead and throw these in here, and then throw that flat in here. And as we can see, that now doesn't say error anymore. The terrain dimlet does need to go after your block and fluid dimlets, and you don't have to have both of them, and in fact you don't even have to have either of them. You can just have the terrain dimlet alone, or you can have these fluid and block modifiers. So I did want those. So I do also want to control my biome. So I have this biome controller dimlet, and it is a single dimlet here. So let's go ahead and take a look at how I crafted that. If I remember right, this is actually super easy to make. Yeah. So I don't think I had the knowledge for that last time, but I did acquire it since then because I had the system automated, obviously. So let's go ahead and throw this in here. I really hope this works. It doesn't say anything right here if I have just the desert biome dimlet in here. I would have thought that it would have said error dingling biome dimlet or whatever. But we do have the controller dimlet and the biome dimlet. Hopefully there's only one biome and it is desert. And I also have this time dimlet here. I actually found this dimlet in the last episode, and it should ensure that my world is day all of the time, which would be fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and call this Iron World because it's basically a world made of iron. So let's take a look at this. So the creation cost and maintenance cost is actually really low. I expected that to be much higher. And one thing I didn't discuss, I guess, is I actually did make the block dimlets to be blocks of iron, I believe. So let's go ahead and remove this. One thing is, once the current power on this world reaches 0, it is a terrible idea to try to teleport to that dimension. So I won't be doing that. Let's throw an iron world here, and it will take a little time to create. So let's get rid of some stuff here. Let's get rid of pretty much all of this stuff right here. I do need to grab a matter transmitter and matter receiver. I don't need a matter receiver, do I? There's a matter receiver there. So I do need this matter transmitter. And let's go upstairs and let's go ahead and program this so that I can get back to this world. And hopefully most of you guys watched the last episode, because some of this stuff is stuff I went over in more detail last episode. So I'm going to call this Iron World Send, because this is the teleporter that I'm going to take to that world. So let's go ahead and dial that up. Iron World sent to home, and let's go ahead and test that. Make sure that I teleport right here. So that looks good. So let's grab this stuff, and let's see if that dimension is done yet. It is done, and it is currently being powered up. So that is cool and good to see. So let's go ahead and set up, or let's actually set this up and go there now. I'm really hoping that this world is pretty awesome. So Iron World, we're set up. Let's go. Okay, so clearly I messed something up, and that is a shame. So what do we got here? We have spheres of, looks like there's water inside. Okay, so maybe I didn't mess up as bad as I thought. It does look like we have sand on top, but maybe we have just blocks of iron underneath. Let's see if we can't find any liquid as well, because that should be It should be molten iron if there is any liquid. Other than the spheres, obviously. The spheres are separate. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so one thing I didn't think about is that apparently more complicated dimensions actually have, or maybe they give you more loot as well in these buildings here. Because none of the buildings in the previous dimensions that I made have had that much stuff in them. So let's go ahead and go back to the center here. And let's do a little poking around because it does look like there is iron down there. Blocks of iron, obviously. And that would not be native to a desert. Not any desert I know of anyways. So let's plop this down, make sure that it is all outputs, and then let's throw down the matter transmitter as well. And then let's just do a little poking around here. I don't need those dimensional blocks. And let's see how much iron we've got going on. Okay, so yes, this is the good stuff. This did work. So yeah, this obviously is going to equate to a lot of iron ingots. I just need a way to mine all of this. Strip mine this or something. So I do need to figure that out. I was thinking about maybe a digital miner from Mechanism, but I cannot make that just yet. So that might be something I will do in the next episode. Let's go ahead and poke around and see if I cannot find some fluid. Because that's another thing. I could pump the fluid that I find. Because it's molten iron, and I can just harden that into iron ingots. And that's another way that I can get iron ingots. Obviously, these blocks are super, super easy to create into iron ingots. So let's actually set up a waypoint. And where did that go? There it is, yeah. This is something I should have done before I ran off. So let's set up a waypoint. Just call it Telly. And then let's go off in a different direction here. These spheres are made of wood, black reinforced plastic blocks, and marble. Marble, I'm not even going to pronounce that. Spelothium? Probably pronouncing that wrong. But anyways. So this is a pretty interesting dimension. I did not expect there to be sand and sandstone on top. But it's really nice that I'm getting my blocks of iron underneath. We are getting desert temples as well, and a village over there as well. I actually didn't even think about the villages and the desert temples when I punched in the desert biome. I just like desert biomes because it doesn't rain or anything, and it's just one less thing to worry about. So I still want to find, like a river or an oasis type area in the desert to where maybe there will be some molten iron. Okay, digit dimlet, that's cool. And then ancient debris, that's actually interesting. So what I might need to do is actually just like dig down and try to find like an underground river that would normally be lava. But it should... Okay, so there is lava over here. And that's interesting. I kind of expected the lava lakes to be molten iron. Let's investigate this as well. Is there anything special in these? Actually, I think the lost knowledge would be something that you can find now that this mod is included in this mod pack. This mod wasn't originally in this mod pack, but since I've updated it, obviously it is now. The RFToolsDimensions mod, that is. Obviously the other RFTools mods have been in the mod pack. I've been using the modular storage units from one of those mods for a while now. So I think I am going to do just a little bit of digging down. Maybe get to level 12 and dig around just a little bit. Okay, so that's interesting. Obviously, you'll find crude oil in your normal desert in the overworld. But I actually expected that to be molten iron as well. which kind of begs the question, maybe I just wasted that dimlet, to be honest. So let's just do some digging. Actually, I can get rid of some of this stuff. I don't need that. I don't need the sandstone. Definitely don't need the fire lily. I probably don't need this either. I have plenty of lost knowledge. Obviously, these blocks of iron are going to give me quite a few iron ingots, but I do want to automatically harvest this at some point. So you know what, I'm not going to worry about the molten iron. If I come across it, I come across it. If I wasted that dimlet, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. The cost of this dimension actually isn't even that high. I expect it to be much, much higher, to be honest, at least from my past forays into this mod. So let's just get rid of this stuff. And you know what, I think I'm going to go ahead and call this a good completed episode. In the next episode, I think I'm going to try to find out some ways to harvest the iron in that dimension and maybe even make it into iron ingots, because obviously that's what I'm after in this series. So anyways, in today's episode, I created a dimension made out of a lot of blocks of iron. So once I am able to harvest that, that will translate to lots and lots of iron ingots. As you can see, I'm still getting lots and lots of iron ingots. I am up to 386 million iron ingots. So that's pretty fantastic. I actually did restart my iron ore processing facility that does the ×5 processing. And that is because I basically jumped up one of my void miners to make sulfur ore. And so yeah, I have sulfur ore now. Sulfur is not an issue. So I restarted that facility. So anyways, if you enjoyed today's episode where I created this awesome dimension of iron that is not appearing just yet, yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to drop a like down below. And if you enjoy watching automation type stuff in modern Minecraft, that's typically what I do. So if that describes you, definitely consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Anyways, signing off, I am Minecraft Phenom08, and I will see you next time.